All right, welcome to this tutorial that's going to be walking you through setting up your payment terminal, your invoicing software, so you can do that on top of your business platform and have that all integrate with your payment processor. So the couple steps that we have inside of the guide, what you're going to first go ahead and do is you are going to go ahead and go over to your ClientKit account and log in. And then what you're going to go ahead and do is here on the left side, they have a section that says payments. Now, I will go ahead and preface by saying this is that ClientKit, they change their UI sometimes, just like all software companies. And so sometimes based off of when you're going to be going through this tutorial, it may look a little bit different, but again, you will be able to go ahead and navigate your way around. Okay, so you're going to get the idea, and I'm going to go ahead and walk you through what it looks like right now, but it may change in the future. Okay, so you go over to payments, and then the tab over here says invoices. Now, I am in a random test account for one of our older, so this is NutriFit Wellness over here. And what you can see over here is that from the right side, you can just go ahead and click on new. And I want to go ahead and show you a couple of things here, right? So let's say we go ahead and click on new invoice. Right over here, it's going to take us to a screen where we can actually go ahead and mess around with what the invoice is actually going to look like, right? So this is where the address would be. This is where the logo is going to be. I'll show you where to go ahead and change that in just a second. And then right over here, if you hit add client, you can see you can go ahead and add a number of clients over here. You see we got some tests, LeBron James, Elon Musk, Dwayne Johnson. So we can go ahead and add different people in here, right? So let's say, for example, we're going to build Elon Musk, and then we can add an item, and then whatever that item might be. So let's say, for example, it's our coaching program or it's our transformation product or whatever, and we can select a price underneath that as well. And then we can actually go ahead and add a new item right from over here if we wanted to do it on the fly, right? And then we could save that for later use. So this is what the initial invoice would look like. And then if we hit the three dots over here, we can get a preview what it would look like for the actual client. If we wanted to record a payment as if we got the payment offline somehow, we could do that there. We could save this for further use in the future if we wanted to right over here. And then if we wanted to go ahead and send it, it would go ahead and send it over to right here. Please add at least one item. So let me just add one item over here. So let's say it's save. And then if I hit send, you'll see that it gives me a couple different options here, right? So I can go ahead and send it to Elon via email and text. I can send it only via email, only via text, right? It has his numbers already integrated in here. And so again, this is the benefit of having a terminal that hooks up to your CRM, to your business platform, to all your contact information, is because when you are sending these invoices, it's not only through email, you can do it through multiple different channels, and you can even set up automations and workflows to be able to remind the customer to be able to go ahead and pay for the invoice XYZ. Now, in addition to that, right, if we go over here to additional options, right, so we can go ahead and test this, and we can put this in live mode or in test mode. We'll come back to this in just a second because you are going to go ahead and in an upcoming training, test this entire system. And so you can put this into test mode and then test it yourself, okay? But for right now, we're going to go ahead and save Elon the invoice and not send it to him right now, because what I want to show you is if we go back, the very first thing you want to go ahead and do here, okay, is that you want to go over to integrations and you want to go ahead and hook up your payment processor, which you're probably going to be using Stripe initially. Now, in the future, we are working with partners to be able to go ahead and provide our community with access to other payment processors, because sometimes Stripe can be a big pain in the butt to work with because sometimes they can ban accounts, XYZ. So there is some nuance to this, but for right now, as of recording this, Stripe is going to be the main one. And then of course, if there's any changes to this, we will go ahead and annotate it around the training, but primarily Stripe. And then you can go ahead and other payment processors can use NMI, Authorize.net, XYZ. And then there is a legacy one here for PayPal, but again, we do not recommend or use PayPal. Typically, it is going to be on Stripe side of things. And then you can also register domains if you wanted to go ahead and use Apple Pay. There is an entire process for that as well, which we can make a different tech tutorial if necessary. So let us know if that's something that you need. Okay, so integrations, Stripe right over there. That is going to be the first thing that you want to do. Then you go over here to settings. And then when you get over here to settings, you can actually go ahead and upload your logo. And so this is the reason why earlier when we were talking about the business basics, it is very important to make sure that you get your business logo rocking and rolling, so that way you can go ahead and have it as an asset to put into different places, right? So you go ahead and put your logo over there. That's going to make it very easy for it to go ahead and show up inside of the invoice. Now, a couple other things I want to show you here is that when you go ahead and put your mouse over invoices, there is all invoices, which shows you just all of the invoices that were sent XYZ, right? Then there are recurring templates, and then there are templates. Now, this is is important if you are going to be selling a product that is going to be recurring. So let's say, for example, you're going to sell a membership, a monthly membership, XYZ, something like that, right? So what you can do is you can actually create a recurring template for that, right? So if I go ahead and put, this is a new invoice right here, send a one-time invoice to the customer right away, or send a recurring invoice to the customer at scheduled time. So there's two different options over here. And so the recurring template is going to be for that option, right? So how often, daily, weekly, monthly, yearly, XYZ, the start date, whether the end date is going to be, send the invoices how many days in advance. All of that is going to be what you can go ahead and program over here. Okay. So again, I'm just walking you through the overall of what the payment terminal looks like, how to be able to get used to all of the different features. So that way, as you start to play around with this, because again, remember, you're a professional business owner and your primary skill set is problem solving, being able to be resourceful, right? So we're nudging you in that direction. And then of course, if you have any other questions, we can make further trainings to support you along the way. But I just want to get you an idea of how the actual payment terminal looks and works. Beautiful. Now, next up, I also want to go ahead and show you. So we got contracts. We're going to have a whole separate training on talking about contracts and legal agreements. We already have something prepared for you as a template, so you can go ahead and have that in there. We'll go back to that in a little bit. Then you have orders over here. You then have your subscription. So let's say you have people on subscription. It would show all of those active subscriptions right over here. You have transactions. So these are going to be transactions that are made as single payments. Now, the other beautiful thing about this is that if you do go into the actual contact record of any single one of the people who have an order, a subscription, a transaction, whatever it might be, it will also show up inside of the contact record, which again is the reason why we highlighted the importance of using a payment terminal that is integrated with your business platform, because having all of this allows you to be so much more organized, because you want to be busy growing your business. You don't want to be busy organizing to grow your business, right? And so that's why it's so important to make sure that you are setting yourself up with the right tools. Now, in regards to products, I did also show you how you can set up the products on the invoices side. However, you can also go ahead and pre-configure those products right over here, right? So if you click add a product, you can go ahead and add the product there. If you want to add an image, you can add, the product type. If it's a one-time, if it's a recurring, all of this you can set up ahead of time if you would like. Or again, like I showed you earlier, right? You could go over here. Let's go over to the Elon invoice that we were in. If I edit that one here, you can also go in when you hit add item, you can go ahead and add a new item and save it for later also right there. Okay. So that's another part that I wanted to show you. Of course, any one of these invoices, if you go over here, you can edit them, you can delete it, you can clone it. Let's say, for example, you made one for one customer and you wanted to convert that into a template. So you could go ahead and convert it into a template right away, right over there, if you didn't want to go ahead and make it as a template elsewhere, right? So you could do that as well. So the biggest thing I want you to understand here is that as you're going through this, you can go ahead and test this entire system. We're going to have another training to walk you through testing this, but I want you to be able to understand how all of this works and how you can actually go ahead and charge the card and do all of that as well. So let me show you. If I go over here to edit, and then if I go ahead and I actually go ahead and say, okay, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and record payment. So let's say I don't want to send this over to the client. I want to go ahead and record the payment right now, right? So let's say, for example, I'm going to charge the card. Well, you click on that. In this case, Elon doesn't have his credit card saved inside of the business platform system. So I do new card, and then right there, I can go ahead and charge the card if that's maybe over the phone or over Zoom, XYZ. Now, typically for the purposes of safety, we do recommend sending over the invoice to their email or their text message. They go ahead and fill it out and do that on their side, and then their card information is saved in the system. But I just want to show you some of the different ways that can happen as well. Okay. And then of course there is the record manually. Now, again, we've talked about why you need to be a professional business. You don't do, all these other random ways to collect money. But however, in some business models, that is the case where you receive cash or check or other modalities. Of course, that option is there to be able to go ahead and record the payment as well for the proper record keeping. So our recommendation as you are going through this is that we would recommend, as you go into your ClientKit account, go over to contacts, add yourself as a contact. So that way you can go ahead and start to get a feel of, okay, let me go ahead and add a new invoice. Let me go and add myself as a contact. Let me see how all of this is going to work. And then of course, if you click over here on settings, this is another part I wanted to show you, right? So if you click on settings, you can also go ahead and change your business logo over here. You can go ahead and change your business name, your address, all of that information that would show up on the invoices. You can change that specifically under settings here in invoices, right? So if you go invoice title and terms, you can go ahead and put some terms at the bottom if necessary. Now, these are all features that, of course, ClientKit is doing an amazing job of always continuously adding onto their platform. And so as these features roll out, if we find best practices, we will go ahead and make sure that we release those if necessary as well, right? So we got invoice title and terms, due date settings, you can go ahead and set the default for those as well, custom fields if necessary. Again, these are all advanced features. We can do additional trainings if necessary for those. Notifications as well, some of the notifications that somebody might receive once they go ahead and actually pay the invoice, as well as the team notifications when an invoice is successfully paid. What does all of that look like as well? Okay, so again, this is just the overall video of the payment terminal. There's a lot of advanced settings that we can get into later on, in addition to some really awesome automations that, hey, when somebody pays their invoice, then automatically to go ahead and send them maybe a legal agreement or vice versa. Also, potentially you can set up automations around literally an unlimited, anything you can imagine under the sun level of automation, right? So somebody pays the invoice, it automatically goes ahead and sends them a link to their onboarding homework or creates for them an account in the coaching platform or XYZ, right? So there's so many different ways that this could actually happen. So biggest thing is that there are some additional questions here and some additional prompts inside of the guide if you wanted to follow along there. Now, if you do have any issues or questions, you do want to make sure when it comes to the invoicing feature, because remember, ClientKit is a different company. We are not ClientKit, right? And so what we do is we're always going to tell you first line of support is to reach out to ClientKit. They're going to know their platform better than we are. And so they do have the support right over there. So you can go ahead and chat with an agent, or a lot of the times, if you just go ahead and click on search for help, and let's say, for example, I type in here invoices, right? So they got invoices overview, recurring invoices, managing auto pay. You see, they have a lot of different options on here that'll walk you through exactly how the invoices feature and all of that actually works as well. And then again, they also do have, I believe if you click on this, they walk you through a number of guides. So if you go over here to payments, they have a number of guides that'll walk you through some of these features as well. So if you just give it a second, it should load. Just like that. So you'll see on here, it'll walk you through next, right? So I'm going to go ahead and just click on this very quickly. So you get the point, right? So there's a bunch of support that they have that they'll be able to walk you through. And then they also have their support agents that they will be able to help you as well. So we are not ClientKit. However, we do our best to go ahead and walk you through to get you that initial launch ramp to be able to understand how the platforms actually work and how you're going to be able to use it inside of your business. Okay. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, this has been the setup for the payment terminal. Just the biggest things, make sure get the integration live. Make sure you go over here into, they got settings over here as well. Okay, see, there's a whole bunch of stuff. Settings, they got receipts if you want to go ahead and enable receipts for automatic payments. Okay, this is right as I was closing right here, right? So you got a bunch of other things that you could do here as well. But the settings that I was looking for was this settings right over here, right? So you can go ahead and change your settings, do the integration, mess around with the settings, get your logo in there, get your business phone number, add yourself as a client, add yourself as a contact, and go ahead and play around with it. That, ladies and gentlemen, is the setup for the payment terminal and the invoicing. And we're going to go ahead and continue on to the next training. It's going to walk you through taking everything through a test drive. So with that being said, we will catch you in the next training.